Hello and welcome to Business Today presents Andhra Pradesh 360 from Bharat to the world. I'm Sakshi Batra. As part of World Economic Forum 2026, Business Today brings to you this special podcast series where we will explore how Andhra Pradesh is truly looking at leading India growth story across leadership, technologies, and future ready sectors. Today, we put the spotlight on GCCs, that's the Global Capability Centers, and try to find out how global enterprises are evaluating Andhra Pradesh as the next generation GCC destination. To share with us an industry perspective on Andhra Pradesh's GCC ecosystem and the long-term digital potential, today we have with us a very special guest. Let's welcome Mr. Gaurav Hazra, Vice President and Head, Government Affairs, Asia Pacific, Cognizant. Warm welcome to you, Gaurav, and thank you so much for taking the time out. It's good to have you on this special podcast.
Glad to be here, Sakshi.
Well, you've done a lot of investment in Andhra Pradesh, specifically to just for an outset to all our viewers. I'm just going to be highlighting the proposed new campus that you're setting up will be completed in the next 3 phases by 2033. It will entail an investment of 1,583 crores, over 15 billion rupees. The first phase for which the construction will begin in this year itself, that's 2026, and of course will house 3,000 associates upon its completion in early 2029. The next 2 phases will increase the seating capacity to 8,000 now. So give us a broad understanding on when you wanted to identify, how did you shortlist Visakhapatnam as the location, investment location in Andhra Pradesh then?
So, Sakshi, I think let's take a step back and understand all of this, how companies make decision on emerging hubs for expansion. So, sometime in 23, Cognizant decided to expand its presence in India outside of the traditional hubs where we are present in thousands and thousands of people to what we call as tier 2 or emerging hubs. These are smaller cities but has a lot of talent, and COVID sort of taught all of us to go where the talent is. And I think that's the seed of all of expansion that happens in the industry in general and specifically for us. So we identified a set of cities and we started with a couple of cities before we did Bhubaneswar, depending on where the talent is, where we see people already working, maybe remotely for Cognizant, and we wanted to give them an anchor facility where they can come and work, and we can grow the centers. That's how this whole thing started. So when we started evaluating cities, one of the fundamental decision points are, I'll say, one of the top 2 or 3 fundamental decision points is one, availability of talent. Do we have enough talent to run a facility, not just a physical facility, but also build for the world? I think that's extremely important. The other thing is what is the political climate in the region? Is it stable enough? Is it long-term enough? Is the vision long-term that can survive regimes? Industry would look at pockets of, I would say, talent where the political climate sort of continues to work in its own way, and the industry continues to work or grow in its own way, and they are not counterproductive ever, even if they diverge once in a while. So I think that's a very important selection for not just in India but anywhere in the world. The third thing is access, infrastructure, what plans the government has, how is the government sort of working hand in hand with the industry, so on and so forth. But I think from the point of view of Vizag, we traditionally had a large base of employees coming out of Vizag who are there, Cognizant worldwide and in other parts of India. So Vizag was a simpler choice because we had people whom we knew are working out of Vizag, which was an easier decision point. And then that coupled with the fact that the government is putting so much steps and focus to make it world class. And I think these 2 things just came together at the right time, sometime beginning of last year when we sort of made the announcement.
Okay. Now give us an outlook as to how is Cognizant truly envisioning the next phase of growth and expansion in Andhra Pradesh? What is in the offing?
So I think that's public domain, and that's what we have sort of announced. Whatever the way what you introduce is exactly what we announced, and I think the plan is already in place. So that is the plan, that we would continue to build our own campus. We have interim, I would not say an interim, we have office already where which is running from another premise where we have built for about 500, 600 all odd associates, which will continue to function while we build our own infrastructure, which obviously will come up in three phases because it's a large construction project, and will scale to the point of 7,000-8,000 people that is as per the plan that we announced.
Give us an understanding of how has your experience been, when you've worked with the government of Andhra Pradesh in facilitating the investments and, of course, accelerating the investments in this region?
So, I do this for a living. I run government affairs for Cognizant. So it's a tricky question. But I think my experience is that I see Government of Andhra Pradesh working in one of the most integrated manner. So when we work with governments globally, or companies work with governments globally, I think the biggest bottleneck that they face, and it's nothing to do with India, is one part of the government not talking to the other and people just going around and trying to figure out what to do. But I think the way AP government comes in a more integrated fashion where everybody, right from the top, which sets the vision to all the way to execution, is so well integrated, and the vision just flows down to execution so fast that it sort of makes companies very comfortable because they almost function like another corporate unit.
That's wonderful.
I think that's a big deal in my opinion.
Absolutely. From Cognizant's own Asia-Pacific perspective, I have to ask you, and when we talk about Andhra Pradesh's digital talent pool, how would you really look at the university ecosystem that supports large-scale GCC operations as well? What kind of insight can you offer there?
So, from a point of view of a global company like ourselves, I think as I said in the beginning, there are 2 or 3 large elements. Talent is a big part. When we evaluate places, and when I see Vizag, for example, I see a good set of institutions in and around Vizag which is churning what we call as fresh talent. Because this fresh talent gets into the talent pool and over a period of time grows and become more and more experienced and gathers experience as companies like ourselves give global mobility to people, they grow around the globe and come back. One key element that I see in the case of Vizag is it is a good city that can even attract talent who do not traditionally belong to Vizag. I think the growth of IT industry or GCC or global companies really come from a blend of local talent and global talent at the same place. That's how hubs grow. And I think those elements do exist. It's a cosmopolitan town. It has got the infrastructure, and the infrastructure is becoming better every day. So I think these 2 elements coming together, specifically from a GCC standpoint, I think GCCs, when they landed about 10, 15 years back in India, they traditionally landed at the traditional hubs of Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, NCR, and so on and so forth. But I personally believe that there is a new wave of GCC that would come in the recent, maybe another 6 months, 1 year, and it's already coming, would be mid-sized companies, global companies, who would look at establishing a GCC in India. And for these mid-sized companies, emerging towns, in my opinion, is a very good landing spot. The other GCC opportunity specifically is secondary locations for larger GCCs. So if I have a GCC, I've grown to 30,000 people in one of the large cities, and I want a secondary location to tap into a newer set of talent pool. So for them, emerging hubs like Vizag is a very good choice, which is not too far off from a larger hub, have the same kind of talent, might be slightly lower cost, and gives them diversity in the way they operate. I think, and it also applies for ITES in general, not just for GCCs. That's what I think.
Gaurav, help me understand this. As global leadership teams are evaluating Andhra Pradesh truly, which ecosystems do you think and which strengths do you think are most compelling today? Also, what forthcoming developments are you really looking at, penciling in, that will further strengthen Andhra Pradesh's own position as the next generation GCC hub?
Yeah, so I think when we look at a state is really defined by one or two anchor hubs in the state. So I'll talk about cities rather than the state. It's more relevant, I would say. I think when global leaders reevaluate locations, there are 3 or 4 dimensions, like I explained. One is the quality of talent and the quantum of talent that is available. I think from the quality and quantum of talent, AP is really there, because it's the same talent that is today going worldwide and working in IT companies and tech sector across the globe. So talent is available. There are institutions where talent is available, and there are also lateral talent. I'm talking of experienced talent that originates from this part of the world and works globally. So talent is there, and it just has to be sort of channelized into companies which are now in Andhra, or trying to grow in Andhra, and so that this talent becomes more sort of anchored into the hub. That is one. I think from an infrastructure perspective, we are seeing a lot of development. We are seeing a lot of plans put together by the government and by the state in general. And I think if they double down on one hub like they have done in Vizag, and we tend to focus that Vizag is going to be the anchor for tech, then I think the industry looks at infrastructure development which is conducive for tech, social infrastructure, health infrastructure, schools, very important element, because when we move our employees, we have to make sure that they have the required social infrastructure, which is health, entertainment, and education available at the same place. So it's not just the infrastructure to create talent, but also infrastructure to support their social life. I think that's an important element, and I always talk to state governments about the quality of social infrastructure, the quality of life, ease of living. And I think the third element is obviously the vision of the state. What does the state really want to do is extremely important. And if the state has put together its mind saying that we want to make it a tech hub, GCC, tech, big tech, data center, all of them put together, then they are able to execute with speed. I think these 3 elements are good enough to make a decision.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Gaurav, for sharing with us all those wonderful insights. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers have really understood how Andhra Pradesh is truly emerging as the next generation GCC hub, what has truly gone in, and what's the vision, what matters truly for global leadership teams as yours to really pencil down on such destinations for future investment strategies. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having me here, Shakshi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.